This year's tough, ladies and gentlemen, because we've already made it past the NFL draft. Obviously, we were way past NFL free agency, but we still have some sharks in the water. We still have some running backs that are ready to ruin fantasy drafters' days. We still have a couple guys that may get traded before the start of the season. So I want to go through and outline the running back situations that may look way different a month from now and talk about the players that could see their situation either getting better or worse. But before we get into it, you better drop a like on this video. You better be subscribed if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you play fantasy football, you are going to love flockfantasy.com. Over there, you can get access to all of my fantasy football rankings, plus the fantasy football rankings of your favorite content creators and so much premium content. And when you sign up with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get 30% off any subscription. And with promo code FLOCK, yours truly will go through and make a podcast about your fantasy football team whenever you would like. But I think that should be about it. Let's go ahead and let's dive into this. And there are about 4 running backs right now that I think we need to be worried about. Now, a couple of these guys are obvious, right? The first one being Kareem Hunt. Now, if we're pulling up this Kareem Hunt profile, yes, I'm not necessarily sitting here and telling you that Kareem Hunt's going to go to a situation and all of a sudden be a stud in fantasy football. Like, honestly, this point, Kareem Hunt's probably not going to be good enough in fantasy for you to ever consider starting him again. However, Kareem Hunt will be good enough to be able to go through and at least take production away from another player. Now, it seems like Kareem Hunt's been in the NFL forever now, but keep in mind, this is a running back that was drafted in 2017. The reason it seems like he's been around forever is because this is a running back that dominated as a rookie. Remember, as a rookie, he led the NFL in rushing yards. Now, if you're looking at that 2017 draft class, you have a couple running backs that we will be talking about in this video as well. But the guys that were also in that class, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Dalvin Cook. I mean, you have so many guys where people are saying, okay, yeah, of course they're not going to fall off. Of course we don't need to be worried about their age. However, with Kareem Hunt, people are treating him as if he is absolutely nothing. Now, of course, if you're looking at Kareem Hunt, when he goes to a team, I think that you are going to have a couple different specifications on where he's going. One, because this is a veteran running back. We know that any team that does not have plans to contend this next year, they will not be interested in Kareem Hunt. So we are going to be looking at strictly contending rosters that would need help at their running back position. And we'll get to exactly who those teams can be in just one second. But let's go to another running back that was in that 2017 draft class. Someone else that I think can be around to ruin some fantasy drafters' day. We're going to be looking at Leonard Fournette here. Now, with Leonard Fournette, like we said, he was a top 5 pick in that 2017 NFL draft. I mean, this is a running back that's only going to be 28 this next year. If you're looking at over the past 2 seasons here with Leonard Fournette, this is someone that both years had over 250 total touches. Yes, 250 total touches back-to-back seasons. No, I do not expect that Leonard Fournette comes in and is a running back 1 in fantasy. I mean, you can kind of see that nobody's expecting that. Right now, if you head over to Underdog, you're getting both Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette in round 17. They're essentially priced as if they're not going to be on an NFL team this next year. I got news for you. They probably will be, and I would love to draft them round 17 on Underdog. But someone that's going in round 16 on Underdog is actually going to be Ezekiel Elliott. This is another running back that I think you honestly have to be a little worried about. Another running back that is going to be 28 this next season. Now, of course, I don't expect Ezekiel Elliott to come in and be a running back 1 in fantasy. It's not happening. But you're going to tell me that Ezekiel Elliott's going to go from seeing 244 to 237 to 231 carries for an NFL team to then give absolutely nothing? No, I think what you're going to see is Ezekiel Elliott sign a sweetheart deal. A team brings him in to give him that role at the goal line where every once in a while maybe he's not doing the hard work, maybe he's not touching the ball between the 20s, but when they're in the red zone, they're going to him to punch the ball in at the goal line. So that can be obviously a massive nuisance in terms of him being a vulture. And that's honestly why I've been drafting him on Underdog in like round 16 right now. And if you want to draft on Underdog Fantasy, I'm sure y'all have seen us draft in there every single day on the live stream. You can find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the description of this video. And if you are getting in a draft with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get a 100% deposit match. On top of this, if you're a member of both flockfantasy.com and Underdog Fantasy, you're going to get some exclusive Flock/Underdog merch coming your way very soon. And as well, you're going to get additional Underdog credit that's only available for people who are members of the Flock on flockfantasy.com. But going over to the last veteran that I think we should be pretty worried about going through and changing things up is actually going to be Dalvin Cook. Now, we've seen reports over and over and over again now that Dalvin Cook's rumored to be traded. And it makes sense if you look at the overall salary cap situation that you have, not only with Dalvin Cook, but the entire Minnesota Vikings team here. We have a lot of people saying that Dalvin Cook is going to get dealt before June 1st. And I've been honestly posturing my teams in a way that if this were to occur, we are printing money. The biggest way we can take advantage of this today is Alexander Mattison on Underdog is going in round 9. And when we're drafting in these massive best ball tournaments, right? When it's a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool for the puppy draft. When it's a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool for Best Ball Mania. I'm trying to build super teams. And right now, if we're drafting Alexander Mattison in round 9 and Dalvin Cook gets dealt before June 1st, then all of a sudden Alexander Mattison is a 3rd to 4th round pick in fantasy football drafts. This is someone that obviously projects to see 20 plus touches any week that Dalvin Cook has missed over the past 3 to 4 seasons now. So I've been going through and trying to take the highest upside swing I possibly can on 9th round Alexander Mattison in almost every single draft. He's my most drafted player at the running back position so far. And if Alexander Mattison ends up being Dalvin Cook's backup this next year, if Dalvin Cook stays, Alexander Madison's still probably going around 9, going around 10 because of his handcuff appeal and where he's gone over the past few seasons. So in my mind, that's a way that we can get ready and take advantage of the potential trade that you may get from a Dalvin Cook. Now, you are probably asking, right? Well, Mason, you're talking about all these players going to teams. Where the hell could they go, right? Where could the Minnesota Vikings send Dalvin Cook? Well, going back to what we were talking about at the very beginning, the teams that we are going to be looking at as potential landing spots for these veteran running backs, because all these guys were drafted in either 2016 or 2017, as we are going to be looking at contending teams in the NFL. There's not going to be a situation where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go, yeah, you know what? We're trying to lose 16 games and get Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick. So let's go through and let's trade for Dalvin Cook. It's not happening in that instance. So if I'm going through and looking at a couple different boxes, one, a team that is ready to contend this year and has Super Bowl aspirations, and 2, does not have a solidified running back that they can be extremely excited about being the only guy in town this next season, there are a couple different potential spots. The first one being the Miami Dolphins, right? If we're looking at Miami, I think it makes so much sense. Now, yes, they go through and they re-sign Jeff Wilson. They re-sign Raheem Mostert. They draft Devon Achane in the 3rd round of this year's NFL draft. But at the end of the day, none of these running backs have a ton invested into them. If you're looking at the contract details, if you're looking at the draft capital of the Devon Achane, in reality, all of these prices are just as depth running back plays. I mean, now, of course, we're not sitting here and thinking that the Miami Dolphins, with this former Kyle Shanahan coaching staff, they want to go through and they want to have a bell cow running back. Of course, they're still probably going to plan to have a running back by committee no matter who they bring in. But none of these guys profile to be a lead back in any sense of the imagination. I mean, if we're going to go through and look at the first guy, Raheem Mostert right now is going at a very high mark in underdog drafts in my mind, when I think they are bringing in someone. This is a running back that, well, yeah, I mean, he's not Ezekiel Elliott, he's not Kareem Hunt, he's not Dalvin Cook, he's not Leonard Fournette, because we all view those guys as old players that are washed. And of course, Ezekiel Elliott's old and dusty and nobody wants him, right? Well, those guys are all about 27. Raheem Mostert's 31 years old. Raheem Mostert, on average, from a per game perspective, has been the running back 32 over the last 3 seasons. He's been healthy. But another thing is with Raheem Mostert, through his entire NFL career, the man's played 2 seasons of 16 or more games. Raheem Mostert is never healthy. At least he wasn't when he was younger. So why do we think that he can be at 31 years old? And like we were saying, he has nothing close to the profile of a lead running back. The man is 31 years old, and he has one game in his NFL career with 20 or more carries. Compare that with the guys like Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, those guys that are 27. Like, look at how many games they have with that kind of volume. Now, going over to the other running back here, I mean, Jeff Wilson's about to turn 27, so he's kind of in the same ballpark as what you have with those veterans that may be coming in. Jeff Wilson also at the same time kind of looks similar. This is a complimentary back, someone that can go through and, I mean, over the past 3 years, he's averaged about 35% of his team's carries on a per game basis, and that's kind of the role you want him in, right? You don't want Jeff Wilson as that lead back there. And Devon Achane literally weighs 188 pounds. The man has a BMI of 27.8. We have never, and I repeat, ever seen a running back that small actually handle a 3-down workload at the NFL level. It just does not happen. So what I think ends up occurring here with the Miami Dolphins is I think they make a play for one of these veterans. They either pay Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette almost nothing to come in, and then at that point, they can operate a running back by committee. Then at that point, maybe they have Ezekiel Elliott in there for the goal line. They have Devon Achane in there as the passing down back. And then they have Raheem Mostert or Jeff Wilson in there between the 20s. And in reality, I just don't have any interest in drafting these Miami Dolphins players whenever I feel like you're drafting them only because perceived opportunity. At the end of the day, these aren't, profiles of talent that we like chasing. And I think that perceived opportunity is going to be disrupted very, very soon. Now, going over to another running back. Now, this one's going to be a little more painful to discuss, right? And I will admit, I should have been higher on him last year. I did not buy in, and I was an idiot for being hesitant because he was clearly the guy down the stretch. Isaiah Pacheco in Kansas City does look great on the surface, right? If you're looking at Isaiah Pacheco, well, yeah, his final season stat lines weren't great his rookie year. He was the running back 37 from a per game perspective. He had 10 carries a game. He had less than a target a game. None of that looks too good. But what does look very good with Isaiah Pacheco is how he split this season down. Because remember, he's a rookie, especially as a day 3 draft pick. You're never really expecting a rookie with that kind of draft capital to ever do anything for you, right? So we kind of need to break down the season in the first half and the second half. The first half before he really proves that he can be the starting running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, and then the second half when they give him that job. So the first half, you're looking at Isaiah Pacheco averaging 4 points per game in the first 10 weeks of his rookie season. Yes, that's 4 PPR points per game. It's legitimately nothing. But in the final 8 weeks there, you had Isaiah Pacheco jumping up to about 12.5 fantasy points per game. So you like to see that he had that breakout down the stretch. And what I am most excited about with this Isaiah Pacheco profile, what I'm most encouraged by, is the fact they do go out there and they give him that workload in the actual playoffs. They give him, double-digit carries each and every week. That final game in the Super Bowl, when all the cards were on the table and when everything mattered, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was inactive, and they had Isaiah Pacheco going out there and seeing 15 carries, right? So there are reasons to believe that the Chiefs are all in on Isaiah Pacheco and that they may just go into the season with both Pacheco as well as Jerick McKinnon. But, going along with this, how surprising would it be if the Kansas City Chiefs go, we can sign one of these veterans. We can sign Leonard Fournette for $1.1 million, bring him in at literally no cost to us. I think they'd probably look to do that, bolster this running back depth. And I don't think Leonard Fournette would be the starter. That's not the point of this. But I do think he would be in a committee, right? I do think you would stop Isaiah Pacheco from potentially being a 3-down option. That's the point of this video. Going over to our next team, I will be honest. I've been drafting a decent amount of the Buffalo Bills running backs, but to be completely fair, even if I've been drafting a lot of these guys, both these guys in a lot of live streams and a lot of underdog drafts, at the end of the day, I think with Damian Harris and James Cook, it's kind of the same situation as what we're talking about with these other backfields, right? And that Buffalo is for sure a contending team. I think you could realistically see them go out there and make a play for a veteran. They have Super Bowl aspirations. And at the same time, they add in Damian Harris, very similar to how the Miami Dolphins, go through and re-sign Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. When they sign Damian Harris, they pay him close to nothing. It's not like Damien Harris is in a spot where he's getting a ton of money, guaranteed money going his way. No, they sign him as a depth piece. And while James Cook maybe is somewhat encouraging, very similar to the situation that we had in Miami, I mean, James Cook's like Devon Achane. I mean, he has a BMI less than 28. We've never seen a back actually have a large workload being that small. So these are unproven running backs primarily. Limited team investment. James Cook a little bit more than Devon Achane. I mean, this is a guy that went the second round in last year's draft. Obviously, Achane the third round in this one. But this is another situation where I could see them going out there and signing Kareem Hunt. I mean, if Kareem Hunt comes in, is he the starter? Who knows? But does he negatively impact Damien Harris and James Cook? Hell yes. So I just wanted to outline the risk of what you have. Personally, what I'm doing is I'm avoiding the Miami running backs. With Isaiah Pacheco in Kansas City, I've been drafting him if he falls past his ADP. I'm not going all in at his ADP, but if he falls, I'm fine to go through and take him. And if we're going to be looking at what we have with the Buffalo guys, I mean, honestly, I have been drafting them. I don't necessarily know if we should continue because it is just a little scary at this point, but they are just extremely cheap. I mean, they're like way cheaper than Isaiah Pacheco. Finally, make sure you're getting Alexander Mattison in as many leagues as possible. Limited downside, so much upside. And then also, I am sprinkling in a little bit of Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott in the last few rounds of these drafts. But thank you again. Really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day. And as always, if you want to join the flock, if you want to get access to my fantasy football rankings, get access to the rankings and premium content of all your favorite creators, flockfantasy.com. Use promo code FLOCK for 30% off any subscription. And if you want to get in a draft with us today or in a draft in the public lobby, if you want to go out there and take a shot at one of those massive tournaments, that's Underdog Fantasy, promo code FLOCK. And if you're a member of both Underdog and flockfantasy.com, we have some super cool stuff coming for you very soon. But thank you again. Really do appreciate y'all. Really hope you have a great day and really hope we get to see you with the live stream later today.